Welcome back, Camden Catholic. I'm sure some of y'all are starting to get tired of hearing me say that. But anyway, so we left off today in class talking about the Age of Pericles, right? And I explained to you already that this goofy picture is mainly just because I put into Google "yay money" and this picture of an adorable Japanese baby popped up laying in a pile of yen. So I just went for it, all right? But anyway, we started talking about it in class that before Pericles was elected, before he ostracized Simon, government workers weren't paid, all right? They weren't paid because they didn't have to be, because most of them came from very, very wealthy families. And the reason why that was unfair is due to the fact that if you didn't receive a salary, that meant that basically there was no way for you to actually participate in your government because you had to work to support your family, right? So Pericles is going to change all that. And he's going to make it so government workers actually get paid for the service that they do for their society, right? So it's a genius thing. Now, a little bit it's gotten out of control these days because, like, senators these days now make $175,000 a year. The vice president makes $230,000 a year and doesn't pay taxes. And then the president is the same way, makes $500,000 a year, which is a lot of money. Some of you are like, well, you know, Kanye makes like $7 million. The fact that one of our civil servants makes that much money, I think is a little high. But that's just me personally, right? That's my personal opinion. You don't have to believe that. It's up to you. All right, anyway, now. But Pericles is going to do the following things. He's going to create pay for government workers. He's going to create equal elections, right? He's going to make it so the election period is a lot more fair. He's going to create free theater seats for the poor. He's also going to make fairer citizenship laws, right? So anyway, speaking of theater seats for the poor, right there, that right there is a Greek theater, all right? There are two types of theater. There's this kind of amphitheater, and then there are other places in Greece known as odeons, right? Odeons. Spelled like this. O-D-E-O-N. This is going to blow your mind. I'm serious. This is how you interact with Greek culture all the time, and you don't even realize it, and some of you are like, Mr. Terry, when am I ever going to need to know any of this stuff? All right, anyway, well, check this out. So an odeon is a place for entertainment, right? It is an ancient Greek venue for singing or dancing or some type of entertainment, right? You could consider this an odeon in a way, but it's a very, very large one, right? So check this out. Odeon, ancient Greek theater. Just jot that down somewhere. So back in the day, speaking of theaters and whatnot, Thomas Edison, New Jersey local, right? He didn't actually invent the kinetoscope, but it's the movie camera, right? So apparently Thomas Edison actually probably stole the copyright or invented this thing called the kinetoscope, right? And it actually was the first movie camera. And he used to actually show these movies in theaters, right? And they were terrible. One of them's of two cats boxing. It's like really, really stupid. But his movies were awful. So one of his financiers, though, comes up. One of the guys that pays Edison comes up to him and he's like, hey, we need a name for these places we're showing your movies, right? And people are like, what about movie theater? And they're like, no, we don't want to call it that because, like, theater, you usually think that you're going to see a stage performance, right? You believe that you're going to see, like, someone singing, someone dancing, someone acting, right? Well, the thing about it is Edison then decides, like, well, what about an odeon? That's like an ancient Greek theater, right? The ancient Greeks under Pericles, they used odeons. And they were like, you know, but people might not understand that. If you got somebody who's poor, they might not actually understand what an odeon is. It's like, what if we put the price in the name of the theater? They're like, I like that. And it costs 5 cents to get into Thomas Edison's theaters. So he called them Nickelodeons. How you like me now? History's all over the place. Anyway, but also one really cool fact about the odeons of ancient Greece. I got to pick this up because I need to use it again. One of the really cool facts about the ancient Greeks and their use of performing arts was the fact that it was a very high society thing to go to the odeon, right? If you were to go to the theater, that was a very big deal, right? Senators went to the theater. Your archon went to the theater. It was a place of public entertainment, right? It was huge. Now, really cool thing, though, about the ancient Greek theaters, they would actually use giant stone masks all the time to show the expression of characters on the stage, especially for people seeing from a distance. These right here are a bunch of the stone masks that were actually used and recovered in several ancient Greek city-states. So anyway, really quickly though, Pericles, definitely Mr. Terry's like #3 most influential person in all of history. He did a lot of stuff. Pay for government workers, free theater seats for the poor, fair citizenship laws, equal elections, Walls around Athens, right? Builds up the military, rebuilds the Parthenon, statue of Athena out of ivory and gold. He did amazing things. This one right here is actually the temple to Athena Nike. The Athena Nike is actually like Nike as in victory, right? We talked about Phytopedes and how he's like, Nike, we rejoice, we conquered, marathon win, when he died, right? So anyway, he did a lot of amazing stuff. A lot of amazing stuff. And it's called the Golden Age of Pericles for a reason. Just to give you a heads up, under Pericles, a golden age is a time of great cultural prosperity. New art, theater, jobs, and a huge economy is going to flourish under Pericles, right? So, all the while, though, who's getting super salty about this whole situation? Dun, dun, dun. Yes, the Spartans, yeah? All right, the Spartans are getting very upset about this entire situation. Now, anyway, well, let's keep going forward. So the Spartans are getting very, very furious about this entire thing that's going on in Greece. So they feel that too much power is passing to the Athenians. But now we got to talk really quickly, like, if you were to walk around ancient Athens under Pericles, what is that life like, right? What's that life like? Well, first of all, life in Periclean Athens, not nearly as big base as you would consider, all right? So they live with very few things, not a lot of possessions, a few sets of clothes, right? And they actually, like our Athenians, outsided the city. Oh, wow, sorry about that. If you lived outside the city, you usually kept your animals on your own for milk, meat, things like that. This is the actual setup of an ancient Athenian home. I think it's really, really cool. One of the coolest things about it is like you have a lot of different rooms, like your storeroom for your dry goods, your dining room, which, fun fact, Greeks did not dine sitting up at a table. They actually dined reclined, and they ate everything with their hands, all right? So due to the fact that they just didn't use utensils at the time. Then they also had storerooms, a kitchen. The coolest thing that I like is about, like, the bedrooms were on the second floor of these, and that usually you had a step ladder to get up to them. Interesting fact is that Greek men actually, like, a man and a wife did not sleep in the same bedroom together in ancient Athens. They actually slept separately. And a lot of that is because of the fact that, like, men were allowed to, like, have what was known as, like, concubines and also possibly marry multiple women. But, so the structure of the family is not the same as what you might think, okay? Also, they had a huge courtyard that actually would open up the second you walked into an Athenian home, which is a beautiful setup. And they would have a patron god or goddess altar right here. And they would actually, like, pray to it every day. The Athenian Diet's also really, really cool. They would usually dine on things like wheat, barley, figs, and grapes, along with meat once every few weeks, a few days, if they could have access to it. Usually they didn't eat meat nearly as much as we do now, okay? So figs, though, delicious. If you ever get a chance to try them, I highly encourage it. So they usually had grains, a couple of fruits, and meat when they could get a hold of it. But a very limited diet, so it happens. Now, the Athenian economy, though, most men crafted or worked with their hands, right? And slaves were a very commonplace thing in Athens, speaking of the economy. So we'll talk more tomorrow about day-to-day life in Athens, and we're going to talk about the big three philosophers in Athens tomorrow as well. And then we'll kind of get into the Peloponnesian War a little bit, then go into Alexander during the Hellenistic period, and we're going to wrap up. We're shooting to have your test by Monday. If I don't quite get there, it's not a big deal. We'll push it back to Tuesday. We'll figure something out. All right? So, but anyway, that is it. That's what we're talking about this evening, and we'll talk about some other stuff tomorrow that's going to probably creep some of y'all out, but whatever, you got to do it, right? So, anyway, but we'll talk about that stuff tomorrow, and I'll see you guys then. You'll probably have a flip tomorrow as well, just to give you a heads up, but I usually don't like to go 3 days in a row, okay? I will see you guys then. Have a great evening, guys.